Well, I'm going to pull right up to his house. Look, isn't that Christmas? That's how
that
it's...
doesn't do it justice. You got to come from this way.
I got to go over that way?
Yeah.
I'm going to pull right into his front yard almost, what I'm going to do.
I wouldn't do that.
I'll tell you what, it is 4 days to Christmas, and I knew it would fly by. I remember just yesterday I was joking on Halloween. Look at this bugger.
There you go.
If there was ever a Griswold living in your neighborhood, it's pretty hard to beat that. Pretty hard to beat that guy's house right there. I didn't realize this guy thinks I'm drunk. Look,
Yeah.
I just did a complete U-E in the circle. So I had a little nap when I went home today. I think I was a little more tired than I thought I was. And,
Can't run with the big dogs.
oh, what's out there, Amy? Yeah. I laid down just to have a little nap. It turned into be a little bit of an excursion, a little 2-hour nappy time. And it felt great. So Amy let it go though, because I know her tricks. She did not, under any circumstances, want to go shopping with the children today. So she let me have a little nap and then said, well, the kids can stay home and watch movies tonight. We'll go shopping. I know your tricks, by the way. I know them. That's all right. We can go shopping tomorrow with the kids.
No, I'm not doing it.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So I waited all day. I was going to do my opening this afternoon, and then I said, you know what? I want to do the opening with Amy. Actually, I wanted the kids in the car because I wanted to wish everybody a happy, Merry Christmas and holiday season. That didn't happen, so we'll just make that note tomorrow, just generally speaking with the children. I hope all of our clients, I know everybody, some people don't like Christmas for various reasons, and I just don't want anybody to feel that they're left out on Christmas, because I did, in my video today, I told everybody that I was thinking about going away on a stable trip this spring, and I know Amy didn't want to do that. She would rather take the kids shopping every day of the week than do that. But I love the idea, and a number of our clients do too, so we're going to be looking into that throughout the Christmas season and into the new year, because there's nothing I would like more. The reason I say that is because I like the community we built. I like our clients are open. We have great dialogues between all of us. We get to watch all our horses trained down. Many of you come to a lot of the racetracks, whether they be fairs even. And we didn't go to many fairs last year too. We only went to one, I think. We'll have to get back to that at some point. Don't you think?
I'll be in Ontario. So.
Oh, really? Oh, Ollie's got a lot of baseball this summer in Ontario, and I want to catch a lot of those tournaments too. And then, of course, the first week of July, it's after July the 4th, but it's the week right after. I think it's like the 5th even, or the 6th or 7th for a week in the big baseball tournament.
No, it's not until the 16th.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was earlier than that. Either way, a lot will be going on in 2025, but I do want to take my time and talk about, now this isn't a year-end video, so I'm not going to talk about 2024, but I am going to talk about last week. Man, I guess we'll lead off with the open house. I think as of the other day now, right after I had mentioned it, we had 62 to 65 RSVPs. I know there'll be some come in throughout the weekend. I'd like to get it to 80 or 90 and tell them we'll have 100. It's every year I say I'm going to do more. I'm going to do more to get people out to the open house, and I haven't for Christmas season this year, but I will. I'll endeavor, especially with John coming in and taking a massive load off my shoulders, him and Sean. It should hopefully give Kelly and I time to discuss potential marketing attempts, and I'd like to get back to speaking a little bit. What are you doing? You doing your top 10 list for later on? Amy's
Thanks a lot, Dave.
completely enthralled in her top 10 list. We're going to have a little dueling top 10 list
It was
here.
Dave's fault.
It should be a lot of fun. I love doing that with my wife, and it was a lot of fun. I had Jason talk about some of the horses today also that he went with this week. He's also good to talk about stuff too. You might ask yourself, why don't you get more people to do it? There's a lot of people that are introverts, right? Just getting to know them and letting them get a feel for the stable. Tyler's pretty talkative too. We'll get him in someday, and Jason Merriman and Joey. Joe has resigned his post as he does every year this time of year. He'll be heading to Florida for a little bit, bounce around. You usually see him bounce in the winter for a day or so, but he'll be back in the spring as he generally is. So a Merry Christmas to Joe Cramp and his family. They're celebrating Christmas today because I think he believes.
Where was Sweet Lake?
She had an OCD removed.
Oh, right.
Wow. Do you not read the company memos?
I do not.
Okay, well, that's on you. So the open house should be a lot of fun. It's next Sunday, right? A week from Sunday?
Based on yesterday, this top 10 list?
You can base it on whatever you want. Top 10 horses as of right now, I would think.
Even if they didn't train yesterday?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think we'll just have a end of the year top 10 list for you and I think that's fair. That's what I planned on doing. So the open house will be fun. We have just hold on. I'm talking to our client just for a second. Is there anything? What do you need? What do you need?
I'm gonna do a top 10 list, but they're not in order. They're just top 10.
No.
Those are the top
10 through 1.
No.
Yeah, no, that's my list. I'm making the rules. 10 through 1. That's the way it has to be. So we have Hunter Myers and Chris Lems are going to be coming out. The reason we have them coming out because the sets are going to be of 6 or 7, I believe. Amy's going with some. I'm going with some. Tyler, Jason Merriman, and Jason McGinnis is going to be coordinating everything on the other side and doing commentary. He's great with commentary, and we got to see that quite a few times off and on. We've got to see Jason McGinnis do the commentary, and he does a fantastic job. On the commentary also, Justin Irvine is coming too. Now, he's got to work out his flights. He said he can't get in until 10:30 on Sunday morning, which is a problem. Or he can't be here till 10:30. It's a problem. Might put him in some later sets and have Jess finish up and help do some of the giveaways that we're going to have and stuff like that. Jessica Otten and Jenna Otten are going to be there helping out also. Mark and Curtis are going to be doing work. Mark McKelvey and Curtis are going to be doing work in Ontario as they have hockey games on both sides of the days, I'm told. Or at least that's what they told me. And Deb Rush is going to be our greeter in the grandstand. That should be fantastic. Michael Carter, I believe, is going to help out. I have to lock him down and see if he can. A lot of people coming out. It should be a lot of fun. A lot of people coming out to help for the open house on the 29th of December. Now, we are going to do a top 10 list, Amy and I, talking about the babies. I was thoroughly pleased with them. You know, Amy and I have totally different contrasts when it comes to the babies. She looks at what they've done to date, and I look at the way my brain is wired is I look at similar horses in the past and how they've kind of chipped through and what they've done. We've talked about some horses. We moved a horse. I just didn't like anything about, and I'll say who it is. I don't like bringing up negative things, but Cheers to Beers, I just didn't love how he looked. From day one, he was the only horse that I didn't. There's one more horse that I'm watching closely, but I just want to give us the best opportunity I can moving forward. And I can't honestly say, I can't see one horse in the midst where I'm like, this horse here is just, I don't like this horse. Now, Amy, I was just going to say, are they closed? But they took our order. They can't be closed.
They don't look open.
They are open. I just made the order. There's people there. You're up, Scooter. You know, Amy takes a look at her horses, and I always factor in they just got corks on. They're just now starting to train. Now, you can imagine you bring 50 kids onto the field for any sport. Well, if you're onto a field, let's say football or baseball, and you work them and work them and work them, there's going to be some that ring the bell. And there's going to be some that gradually get better and better and better and probably surprise themselves. And then you're going to have that group that just thinks they're the best from day one. Along the way, they learn how to work hard. They have a great work ethic. They have a good attitude. And they are the best form of themselves they can be all the time. And you always want those horses, but they don't always make the best horses, right? Sometimes the horses with the chip on the shoulder. Aunt Lily was a complete cow right up until March, April, May of last year, and then just started to come together. I could see it if you go way back and look at.
This is good. What is that?
It's fantastic, isn't it?
What is it?
A little something. This right here, my dear, is a Trenta peach green tea. Peach.
Can you see
no.
there, bud?
Lemonade with peach juice in it and extra ice. Just because I don't know ice free or whatever it is.
Extra ice?
Yeah.
I don't think she's watching these videos.
Oh, you never know. So, So I was telling them, I said, just, you don't always see. You see the horses for what they are today, and I see the horses for what they could be. And I remember having a conversation with everybody last year. We joked about Gorgeous Package and how she was acting up and being rude. Hold on. Freedom Hill was a runaway. Aunt Lily was a complete cow. But if you go back and look at that one video I went with her in February, she looked awesome, right? Because I made her. I didn't make her be awesome, but I made her do her work and made her wake up and pay attention. And you would see flashes of it from time to time because that's their growth, right? That's the progression. And that's what I'm looking for. I don't need to see the horses wow me today. That's why I'm so excited when I see a horse like Perfection Hanover go out and do his work so well this time of year, because I couldn't fathom him looking any better than he did. We're going to need gas. You're going to have to pump some gas too. You up for that?
No.
I pumped your gas twice last week. I'm at 3 bars. Now that can get it. Wait, maybe we'll be done the video by the time I get to the gas station by the highway.
It's unlikely.
It's unlikely. It's possible. Sharp tonight, aren't you? Huh? So I'm always on the lookout for traits. I guess that's what I'm looking for. Traits. Things that I've seen horses do before that I'd like to see duplicated in the horses I'm sitting behind. And that's why I don't get too down. You see, somebody said I gave the filly a swat in the butt there the other day. Don't ask again in the mile, because I know what she's capable of. I can see your gait. I can see your attitude. I know your brother. And she doesn't have any pig qualities. Like, she's rude in the barn and mean, but she doesn't strike me as a bad horse. So I'm just trying to help her become the horse I know she can be. And I do that every day. That isn't just, I want to see it by December 21st. I want to see it all the time. And I'm looking for it all the time. And I have every ounce of confidence at some point I'll see it. What's wrong?
I need to see their names.
Their names? Okay. So I'm always on the lookout, and I'm always sticking up for the horses. And, you'll hear me talk about some of the underdogs sometimes, but that was Gorgeous Package last year, right? That was Arrowhead Hanover. I told you, I don't know why, I liked this horse from day one. He always looked like he had talent, but trotted nice, had to put the hobbles on him because he wasn't paying attention, right? And I told you guys I had to be really, really stern with him in May. He trained harder than any horse in our barn may have for a long. The last time I trained a horse as mean and as hard, not mean, but as tough and as hard as I did Arrowhead Hanover. The last horse I trained that hard in May? White Tiger. That was the last horse I trained.
So bad.
He was such a pig to do anything with. And you could tell, he could come a quarter and 27 in a piece at Mohawk and just go on the run like that. And he worked very, very hard in May of his 2-year-old year. So I'm also on the lookout for those types of things, but I can't see those right now. So when Amy sees horse, she goes, oh, don't ask again, run. Oh, Cherry's girls kicking and being rude.
Why are you asking me for my opinion then?
Because it's funny. it's funny. I'm trying to get you to look at similar traits that horses had in the past and then hang them on those horses.
I'm comparing Don't Ask Again to the filly that we had an open bridle on already. I don't know why you haven't put one on her yet.
Oh, well, she's going to kick up the track, I can guarantee you that.
Fancy Like.
Don't Ask Again's not like it. I'm Fancy Like was the laziest horse on earth.
That thing is lazy. Okay.
Do you want to know what she's doing? She touches.
Care what anyone
no,
thinks.
She does. She's touching her hind ankles, and she does not want to get up into a higher gear.
Every other horse.
But every horse treats it differently. She would rather be cranky and not go up to top gear unless you make her, rather than go up there on her own because she's worried she's going to hit herself. That is what the filly is doing. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to show her that once you get up into that top gear, you won't hit yourself anymore. And it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing for horses to learn. So that's what the babies are. We're going to do our top 10 list for you guys in a little while on our way to our destination where we're going. I am impressed and very eager with the horses I hear in Ontario and the ones I trained today. I've talked about how good Century Legion has been training every week. He didn't train awesome today, but the track was really deep and snowy, and he's only got flip-flops on and not a lot of grab. And I would almost be certain that I can attribute that to the reason that he's not quite as sharp as I'd like to see him. There is always the concern that maybe he's not as good as I think he is. That's possible. That's possible, but I'm certainly not going to let those concerns float into my head just yet. I like the colt. I think he's been doing great things. I think he'll continue to do great things. He's built like a nice horse. He wants to be a nice horse, and I'm eager to see what he's going to do over the next couple weeks. I know I told all my partners on him, he'll be ready around Christmas time. He's probably going to be ready the first part of January. Now, one of the biggest surprises of the holiday season, aside from Drebin just being an absolute lawnmower in Ontario, he's just killing them in Ontario, has been Never Lose Felix's qualifier, and then his race's qualifier was okay, but I could see how James moved him, what James did with him. I could tell just by James's body language, he was curious too. He raced him. You knew he was going to take him back his first start. That was a foregone conclusion. But what he did in the last turn, where he wheeled him out 3 wide and then 4 wide, James thinks a little bit of this horse. I don't want to say a lot because he doesn't know him well enough, but he spoke very highly of him the other day. He could be a very nice horse, and wouldn't that be a surprise for all of us, even the people that decided they didn't want to buy him on Black Friday? You never know. You know, I had Mr. Lamont had messaged me, and he had bought shares in Southwind Idex, and I called him a lobster the other day, and because he's a big lobster. But we're going to take him back to Ohio and then on to Pennsylvania. I think he's going to race at the Meadows if we can get him in there. Now he's a New Jersey bred trying to get in Pennsylvania. You know this story. If we have to race him in Northfield a little bit, will he get around? I hope so. I'll tell you what he won't do. He won't win a maiden at Mohawk. So that's really why he's coming over here. We'll see what we do with him moving forward. He has to show us quite a bit more, or he's going to maybe he may be a professional milk deliverer. Who knows? I have no idea.
Ooh.
But Southwind Idex, I have no idea. That's where what were you doing there? Were you just
trying to try it again?
You want to? Yeah. Okay. I'm ready too. You know, here's a horse. I'm not mad at him. You know, I can tell you he couldn't have done any more than he's been doing. He's just not good enough. God did not bless him with enough talent to be a professional racehorse. So, he's going to be a professional milk deliverer. So we'll see how that works out.
And we will never now buy another Muscle Hill ever again.
He's not a Muscle Hill. He's a Marseille. Oh, that guy. Oh, Southwind Idex?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm the only guy on earth that has had zero luck with Muscle Hill. I've never had one good Muscle Hill that I'm aware of, not one. And I say that embarrassingly because he's done good for everybody that's ever had one, just not me. It is very tasty. I made a good choice. So Felix, super intrigued with him. He's in to go. First lifetime start for Speed of Sound, who Danny O'Brien was raving about today. I didn't realize she come 28-2 in her qualifier the other day. Great last quarter from her in a great mile. So really intrigued with that. Never Lose Felix clearly has speed, so I'm wondering where that's going to start and end. Very impressed with him with his first start. I trained Rosetta today on a horrible track. Horrible in the sense it was just blowing snow, so it was still snow covered a little bit, muddy in some spots, and it just was not a great track to train on, and she trained fantastic. I think maybe that is even why I thought that Century Legion trained a little flat, because I'm trying to compare him to the way she trained. She trained like a freight train. She also did trot in 55 this summer, so 56.
Did you scope him?
No, we didn't, but we will the next time. There was just nobody there. Dr. Katie was running around doing work for her and Mike, and I just didn't ask her to. And then Cadeau, about 2-3 weeks out, but looked infinitely better today. So I know Jason went with him the other day. We talked about changing his shoes. Now, it's odd that I think about this horse because he has the same shoes on that we have on Dancing by Myself. Now, Dominic tried to train Dancing by Myself today and said he did not train good. Now, is it that bruised shin behind? I'm going to say that's probably first and foremost what it is. I'm not going to jump to conclusions. If it is the shoeing, we can change his shoeing a little bit. But to me, I believe it would likely be that hind shin. He said, he just wasn't trotting good at all. I said, Dom, when they bruised that shin, I saw it with Gypsy Hill. He couldn't function for about 3 weeks after the first time we tried to school him. You know, we put him in to qualify, just thought he pushed through it. He couldn't, he run. Then he run again, I think, and then we finally got him. We finally got him around, and then he took off. Now, the shoes that he had on that very first qualifier are the exact same shoes that Dancing by Myself has on today. Totally different gaits, totally different horses, but same interference and same shoes. So, And Trevino on green hit that quarter crack pop, and then I had trained him. I thought the horse trained very, very well. He's ready to go right now. I'm interested. Again, they get to that level, right? Are they good enough? You know, it's great. You trained him in 2-4 last half of a minute. You've heard me say it a number of times. What do they do after that? Is there 2 minutes in there? Is there 58 in there? Or is 2-4 to 2 minutes all you're going to see, which means nothing? I have no idea. Nobody does. Some of the horses I'm really intrigued and waiting to see come up. Oh, he'll know. I'll be completely frank with everybody. James told me that High Hopes trained great the other day. He was not impressed with Oh, he'll know. And I said, well, James, I was just beating 58 with Oh, he'll know this summer. I already know she can go. He said, I'm just telling you, by herself with a snakehood and earhood on her. She didn't wow me.
By herself.
Yeah, 100% by herself. I think she was by herself. As James said, why would James go with her otherwise? He said so she didn't wow him, but we'll see. I'm not too worried about it.
Everybody doesn't need that stuff on by herself.
Well, that's what he was getting at, is that she was just too quiet. You're up. I did my best to get my list done before. This will be the first time, maybe ever, that we've been in a car together and you pumped the gas. Ever. Am I wrong?
No.
Okay, thank you. Love you. So a ton of horses that we like so far coming back. I'll tell you what, Arrowhead Hanover hasn't trained yet, but looks. If you would have said, Anthony, I need you to describe how you need Arrowhead Hanover to look coming out of the field, that's how I want him to look. This is literally best case scenario for him. I couldn't envision him or ask him to look any better than he looks today.
He doesn't like your card.
I asked him to order me in a new... The chip
reader's not working.
Yeah, the chip reader. Canada, you can order a brand new card with the same number. Clearly, she doesn't care. Here, I'm hoping you can, because like many of you, I have that number saved to pay this bill and that bill. Use this card. Well, I have to go in and change the card on everything. It's a pain in the butt. In Ontario, they can order you in. Well, Canada, I guess, can order you in the exact same card. You just have to wait a little bit for it. Now, the tap works on this, but when you put it in a machine, the chip thing doesn't work good. Sometimes, but not always. So Arrowhead Hanover looks great. Aunt Lily looks good. She did start off in the left shaft the first week she was in. Dr. Latessa thinks that right stifle, she always wore a gating pole anyway. That right stifle's a little weak. We're going to work on that. And her knees. We're going to work on her knees also.
I don't think you're supposed to pump gas when running.
Cell phone, no smoking. I think runnings. Did you just out me to everybody? It's cold out.
It's freezing.
I think you just outed me to everybody here.
About what?
Me pumping the gas in the car.
Oh, I don't know. I just didn't think you were supposed to.
That might have been a private conversation. Maybe it didn't need to be shared with the masses.
Sorry. I just don't ever do that, so I didn't.
Okay. I'm going to risk it. It's cold enough. I'm going to risk it tonight.
Thanks.
Freedom Hill looks good also. And now these horses have not trained yet. They're back in. Chicago Hall, I had a number of people ask me, Anthony, why do you want Chicago Hall to come over here? Because I want to get a good look at him, right? Oh, your gas clicked off there.
That's
all
you needed.
It was at 2 bars. It was at 1/8 of a tank. I don't drive a bus like you. It's at 1/8 of a tank. It took $35. So Chicago Hall, I want to have an eye on him, right? Listen, you guys know when I started the stable, I was stretched pretty thin because I'm the guy that wants to do.
I'm not getting a receipt unless you go in there.
Okay, I'm the guy that wants to do everything, right? I want to be the guy because I know I'm gonna blame myself if things don't go right. So I'd rather be looking at everything. And when it comes to good horses like Chicago Hall, maybe he won't come back good, I have no idea. But it'll be my fault. And I don't want to ever go to bed saying, did we train him back right? Did we put him away a little tired? Was there anything wrong with this horse that we could have done differently? And I don't want to ask those questions. If he doesn't pan out, he doesn't pan out. But it won't be because I wasn't watching him closely enough. So this has nothing to do with anything other than me being a micromanager, and that is it. So Resolve Indeed, who I thought had a lackluster year, and Chicago Hall, who I felt left a lot of money on the table, I want to keep an eye on them for a couple of months. They're going to be returning to Ontario. Somebody said, well, what is there for them in the States? Well, never mind. I apologize. The filly only has 1 win and the colt has none. So there's maidens, non-winners of 2. But if they train down as good as I hope, they can head back to Ontario at some point. I have no problem with that. This is not me doing anything more than putting the responsibility on myself for getting these horses ready. And that's it. Century Legion, we'll talk about him a lot over the next couple of weeks. Yes, I was a little disappointed today, but I've been very impressed with this colt for quite a while, and I suspect that will continue in the future. Foxy Seaside, I'm eager. I talked to Dominic quickly about a number of things. She didn't come up, but I know when I trained her 2 weeks ago, I was thoroughly surprised. Before, she wasn't paying attention. She was getting out of gear. You guys saw it. You saw the whole thing play out. She won 2 races, but she just overpowered them. She didn't really win the races. They just lost the races. And I needed her to be more focused, sounder, sharper. She is. She was completely focused to her work in Ontario 2 weeks ago when it was 2 weeks, right? Or 3 weeks? 2 weeks ago or so when I was home. Gaslight Hall, we did bring him back in a couple of weeks earlier than I thought. I just didn't want him left alone in Kentucky by himself. We were bringing everybody else in, so we brought him in. I had Mike take a look at his knees, and he said, yeah, they're rough looking. There's nothing new or bad. I've seen knees like this and much worse than this. They'll be fine. And we started jogging him. The horse jogged great and has been jogging great. Now, we're still going to count the 8-week mark as his starting point. So the 2 weeks he's been jogging over the last 2 weeks will not count towards his training. He will jog for another 2 weeks and then start training down. But the horse looks great on the track, looks sound, comfortable, sharp, happy, driving Jason crazy. He throws his head a lot. Jason drives Jason crazy.
Who does?
Gaslight Hall.
Oh, does he?
Yep. Gorgeous package. Looks great. Again, the same situation of Arrowhead, where if you would have said, hey, Anthony, how do you want this horse to come back in? This would be awesome. She looks fantastic. Grand Slam Dio looks good. She's ready to start training this week, as is Gymboree. I'm going to make a prediction. Gymboree is going to wow a lot of people between December and March. She's going to need a short break at some point, but she is going to go on a little bit of a tear. I haven't even trained her yet, and I'm making that prediction right now at Christmas 2024, that the first horse that we see look very sharp and on a bit of a tear in 2025 will be Gymboree. That's my prediction. Manhattan Money is training down good, according to Harry. Resolve Indeed's just jogging in Ontario. She, too, as he just said, is coming over here. And both Rose runs, AJ and Alexandra, I believe they're Mohawk horses, same as Country Dancing. These are Mohawk horses, and that's why they're in Ontario. We can race them all over here. Well, we can't race them all at the same time, but we can race them all over here. I just think that we do have some Mohawk horses. Both Rose Run horses exhibited the speed and intelligence to be big track horses, to be Mohawk horses. Now, AJ didn't touch himself anywhere, where Alexandra get into her knee pretty good, so she'll enjoy racing on a 7/8 mile track, and I'm hoping to stretch him out.
How many starts are you giving them?
So you're asking the same question that everybody else is. The stakes are going to start a little later in Ohio this year.
They are?
Yeah. And what I want to do is what we did with Time Is On My Side, race them a little bit. What I would like to do is, before we race anybody in any stakes, have all their wins out of the way, so that when we go to sell them at any point during the year, we know that their wins are maximized. I don't like selling horses with 3 wins on their card that should have 7.
People won't buy them.
You're right. That's the downside of it. But if they are true stake horses, people will buy them for the stake horses they are. So in the middle of summer, if we see a horse racing okay, right, that has their wins maximized, we can then sell that horse as a stake horse in the middle of summer. Our wins are already maximized, and we're selling the horse as a stake horse, right? I feel that.
Okay, but what's your timeline? Like those two aren't going to be ready to race soon.
Alexander will be ready end of January. I think they'll be ready to go. They've been in for a couple of weeks now, jogging. Shouldn't take more than a month or 6 weeks of training. I know it's hairy, but I suspect before Valentine's Day, these horses will be qualifying and ready to go. And then obviously, you look at the meat of our order, the horses that really made a difference last year. We have tons of horses we're hopeful will come forward, but the ones that we are watching closely, that I'm watching closely, obviously Arrowhead, Hanover, Captain Incredible, Chicago Hall, gorgeous package, Memento Mori, Resolve Indeed, who am I missing? A ton of horses on here that I'm missing. Aunt Lily, Freedom Hill. A ton of them. Grand Slam Dio, Gymboree, all these horses, we're watching them all. They all had talent last year. But how much are they going to have this year? No one knows. I don't. You don't. I don't even think they do. And then, of course, I was writing down some of the aged horses that look really, really good. We got super strong stable right now. We got Arson getting ready to go in Ontario. Brace for Landing is, obviously James thinks he's sitting on a win. He would not have picked that horse if he didn't, because he doesn't particularly like Brace to begin with. And he picked over a horse that looked really good qualifying to drive him. So I'm interested to see what happens there. Casanova Hall, he's not an open trotter. But I'll tell you what he is what are you looking at?
The horse still there.
What's that? I told that guy that horse can't be there. Not tonight.
Yeah.
Casanova Hall just goes out and does his work. He's one of those horses that I learned to love, right? I respect the horse that can go out and win twice with 2 different shoes on, 3 times now. Because he had a window bar and a mushroom bar on the other night. The horse just doesn't matter what he has on, he just goes out and gets his work done. That quarter crack was bleeding in the post braid. Didn't bother him, he just went and got it done. He's just a nice horse. And I like, you don't have to be the best horse in the barn, you don't have to be the best horse on the track to get my attention. And Casanova Hall just continues to move forward every week. And when we get him to a spot where his feet are good and put normal shoes on him, when we get him to a spot where his confidence is staying high, and get those aluminum shoes on him behind, or at least full swedges, take those egg bars off him. You saw the difference in Drebin? That was the second start last night with aluminums on. Looked a little different, didn't it? There's a time you can ask for speed, and there's a time you can't. And Drebin you can right now, and Casanova's not too far behind. Drebin, speaking of Drebin, the horse has been an absolute killer in Ontario for the last little while. But that's what happens when you find the right horse for the right class. The horse is just an amazing animal, and the sky's the limit for him. Where are we going to go class-wise? Dad said, I told you, he'll be an open trotter. I said, he won't be an open trotter for us. I'm going to tell you that right now. He's probably going to move up into the 70 class first of the year, and if they turn that 3-year-old 60 into a 4-year-old 60, that's likely where he'll go, and I'm sure at some point somebody's going to scoop him off us, but that's where he belongs. It's a good class for him, and even moreover, to that point, we have 2 or 3 horses that can do in there right here in Ohio. So if they do take him off us, there'll be another one there next week, and so on and so forth. Greatest Ending has not turned out to be the horse we wanted him to be, but at the same time, he was 3rd and 54. He paced 53. He's going to come forward if we can keep him sound, keep his AST down, keep his liver down. He's going to be a decent horse for us, a useful horse. In racing for the money we race for in Dayton, Ohio, and in Southern Ohio, he's going to make chunks. He's going to make it in blocks, and I want to make sure we have him as good as we can every week. And Stacy has done a great job doing that. Irresistible Sun qualified great. I told you I qualified both those horses without hobbles on it. Irresistible Sun and Memory and Imagination. Memory and Imagination hit his right elbow. Cut it the other day. I left the elbow boots off him because when I trained him, he didn't seem like he seemed like he was further away. But in the mile the other day, in the qualifier the other day, he touched his right elbow. So we'll put the elbow boots back on our boy Memory. Mountains for All fits in the class that Drebin's in right now. Now, I certainly am not advocating for the fact that Mountains can trot 54 right now. I think he's a couple of starts from doing it. He may need one more schooler, and quite frankly, I'd said to Dominic, we only have one more start in that 60 with that 50% allowance for Drebin. So if they're only going with one class next week, Drebin is the one who's going to go in there, not Mountains. He can wait one more week. If so, we'll put Drebin up in the 70 class, which is the one above it, and Mounts for All can go into that class. That's the plan for next week moving forward. Neptune went to the track today with Troysa. I have not got a hold of Harry yet to ask him how those horses went, but I suspect they went good. Both those horses have raced before in Australia, and I'm eager to see them start racing here. Patrick the Piranha raced good. Amy was very nice to point out the fact that I got locked in with the 8-5 favorite the other day. But if you're a handicapper and you're watching, that's funny, is it? If you're a handicapper and you're watching Patrick the Piranha, he isn't a funk. He wasn't a funk. He raced better the other day. That's the best race he's gone since he was a winner in Dayton. He might need another start just like that. Hit the wood, stay along the helmet, and race him on the end of it, just to come back alive. And Texan Soprano, did you see his race last night?
Yeah, he won by like...
Just obliterated them. Well, he has been bad. Dropped way down to the bottom class. Got some confidence back and now looked great last night. That's exactly the blueprint we're trying to follow with Patrick De Pirano. And you have to drive accordingly. And I think yesterday, although you're not going to see me get locked in very often, with this guy, you're just going to have to tread lightly with him for the next little while. JK Victory. How did I jump over all these horses? JK Victory qualified great. He's going to be in Dayton next week. Trace Tetrick's going to drive him, and he knows him very well. Looks like money 9-hole, and you might say, oh, it's not one of the 7,000. That is a stiff bunch in the middle condition in the Meadows. Man, that is a tough group of horses. So we'll see how it looks like money races from post 9. I'm telling you right now, if you think I'm going to let him rock, you'll be thinking again, he's probably going to get away 9th on Monday. I'm not going to roll the dice out of the 9-hole in that class with that horse. I want to get him feeling good and racing good also. And the best way to do that would just be to drive him a little more conservatively. You get the 9-hole with a ton of levers in the middle of the gate. I'm more than likely just going to get away 9th with that horse. Ready for Landing raced good the other day too. Here's another horse. You know, he can be moved to a ton of different tracks too right now. The way he's racing, raced great the other day for Kane Kaufman also. He's been doing a good job for us, Kane Kaufman, driving a lot of horses. Him, Tyler Smith. Brett always does good for us, but Tyler Smith and Kane have done very well, and Austin Hanners too. I know he gets set back the other night, but he knows it. I know it. You know it. I don't agree with that call. I didn't see the interference. I did not in any way, shape, or form see enough to have him set back. No, I didn't see all the angles that the judges did, but from what I could see on the inquiry film that I was looking at, there certainly should have been any placing that I could see. But who knows? Spitfire Overseas, another horse that has just not come back. I told you guys, we turn these 3-year-olds out that are hot and racing good and getting tired. It takes a long time sometimes to get them back going. Another horse we gave 6 to 8 weeks off, maybe a little food for thought. Be 4 weeks for those heavier horses. They just slide too much. We just have not had him back anywhere near where he was last year. He came back a little fat, and he's working his way back into shape, and it was not his trip last night. But the Spitfire of old is in there. When I won with him, I'm not trying to say that was the 51 Spitfire, but that was a contender, a horse that is still wants it, still eager to do it, you know, to come first over and win in the Meadows the day I win with him. He looked good. He looked good. I just want to see a more consistent, stronger, and eventually faster Spitfire come forward over the next little while, as I'm sure you are too. Save America, maybe one of the best horses we ever owned. Mm-hmm. What a nice horse he is. He is such a sweetheart. And again, we talk about it all the time, but completely contrary to the scouting report on this guy that I received, was that he was lazy, wasn't putting in an honest effort on the track, and couldn't be further from what we've seen from Save America since he's joined Arburn. Texong Soprano, we talked about him a little bit earlier in the list. The horse was great. The horse was great last night, and I'm very happy to see Megan and Scotty having luck with this horse. He's a nice horse, and he's done us some good. I was a little worried. He had 2 or 3 starts where he was just terrible, but he's certainly come back to life there. 3-point blue chip, long history in our barn. And you're finally going to see him racing his first open trot on Monday. I think he'll be good in there. They're not going to trot away from him. I don't think there's any 52 trotters in there that are going to shame him. He is ready and will trot anywhere from 53 and a piece to 54 and a piece on Monday if need be, and I think he'll be in the thick of it when they go into the wire on Monday. Time Is on My Side is great. He needed a good last quarter. I didn't want to race him hard, and somebody said, "Well, you end up first over with him." Well, it's a 5-horse field. What are you going to do? I wasn't quarter poling him on one of the best aged horses in the region. I was going to drive him accordingly. If somebody moved before the backstretch, I was just going to stay in. And when it comes to time, I think he is going to be one of the better horses in that area. I believe he'll be as good as the Surreal Ideal in those horses. He is a quality horse, and he needed that quarter and 27 seconds the other day. He didn't lose an ounce of ground from the head of the lane to the wire by a good horse, 2 good horses, and I'm sure he'll get better and better and better every single week. Troy So went to the track today. I'll give Daniel an update on him when I hear from Harry. And Mister, coming in off 2 weeks off and a little bit of sickness, I thought he raced adequate given his history and given what was going on at the moment. But again, a horse that we want to see come forward. So I'll tell you what, the biggest news, obviously, this time of year is Christmas is here. It's here in 4 days. 3 days by the time you see this video. The open house is here in just over a week. That'll be a lot of fun. And RSVP, I assume Kelly's going to have to cut those off at some point and give a firm number to Northfield Park for next week. But it wouldn't matter whether it was 660 or 600 people. It is going to be a lot of fun at the open house. I know, as I said, Chris Lems is coming out, Hunter's coming out, Tyler will be there, both Jason Merriman is going to be going with some horses. Jason McGinnis is going to be commentating, because it's nice to have somebody talking on the microphone that knows the horses also, right? It's nice to talk about their pedigrees and their gait and their color, but Jason knows them all, and it's nice to have somebody that can talk about from a first person standpoint of how the horses are going. So that will be very helpful for us. That was Mark Weaver. I was asking about, anyway, I'll tell you, TCI. It'll be a lot of fun, the open house. So we're on our way home Monday. We're going to be home for a few days. Be nice to catch up, have Christmas with Amy's parents and with my brothers and my family also, and spend some time. I hope you guys are spending a lot of time with your family. I hope everybody's well, and I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. So with that, I'm going to let you go. We'll be back with our top 10 list here in a minute. For right now, have a wonderful rest of your weekend.